Hey Matt, first comment to the broadcast. Hey everybody, welcome to A Moment in Time with Taylor. Thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to help me to keep this channel going at the link in the profile, nextjuice.com/support. I am streaming live right now on YouTube and on Periscope. I go live on Periscope every single day, 7 days a week for 3 hours a day, and I'm here coming to you live or on the replay. If you're on the replay, it's okay if you were late, with a book review of Positive Discipline by Jane Nelsen. I am a psychology major. I'm currently a college student, hoping to become a psychologist one day, and I learned about this book and this author in one of my psychology classes. It's called Positive Discipline, the classic guide to helping children develop self-discipline, responsibility, cooperation, and problem-solving skills by Jane Nelsen. A lot of what I'm going to share with you today is straight out of the book, because she says it better than I could. And I recommend if you are a parent and you're interested in parenting topics like this and books like this, you might want to get this book yourself because, oh, you know what? I forgot to put the link for eBay. If you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, I'll put the link in here so you can get the book on eBay when you're watching this. Hello. Hey, Aki. Hey, Sarah. Hey, guys. Hey, Victoria. Whoops. No, not you. Wow. You heard that? My phone thought I was talking to her. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. All right. So I recommend that you get the book yourself because there's so much good stuff in here, and it would take me hours to get through all of it and to fully expand on all the concepts. So I'm going to give you little bite-sized nuggets of really awesome stuff from the book, and I encourage you to get the book yourself and really study it in depth and maybe read it multiple times to really absorb the massive amount of great information here. It actually took me a while to get through this book, like maybe almost 2 months, and it's just because I really wanted to make sure that I was understanding everything I was reading. I read another great book for parents if you guys are interested. It's called The Self-Driven Child. My review is already up on my YouTube channel, so check that out. And that was an excellent book about the importance of remaining calm, keeping calm energy around your children and others. You'll be a more attractive, magnetic person if you remain calm. And the importance of teaching your children to control themselves rather than always focusing on controlling them yourself. It's better for them to control themselves and to learn self-control as early as possible. And this book's very similar. It's about self-discipline. You want someone to be disciplined, right? Dedicated and committed to their goals and values on their own. You don't want someone to need you to always be telling them what to do and what to say and what to wear and how to do everything. You know, there's going to come a time where you won't be able to do that for them, and you want to make sure that they got it if you're not around anymore, when you're not around anymore. Hey Kim, hi Sonam, hi Ed. So right on page 6 is there. No, I also want to do a little critique of this book. I love this book very much. I haven't reviewed it on my Goodreads channel yet, but I'll give it at least 4 stars, probably 5 stars. But little caveat, I really like efficiency and boiling down and main ideas. And this book has a lot of lists of things, like the 4 R's of this and the 4 R's of that and the 7 components of this. And it's just like, I'm never going to remember all of these things because it's not concise, it's not clear, it's not boiled down. It's a lot of information. So you kind of have to pick and choose what you're going to utilize and what you're going to implement and what you're going to remember, because we simply have limits to our memory and to our I can't even remember what I'm going to say, let alone all these freaking lists, to our mental capacity and our attention. Our attention is limited as well. So that's metacognition, awareness of awareness, knowledge of knowledge, thinking about thinking. Meta memory is awareness and knowledge about your own memory. And if you're past the age of adolescence and you're watching this, you probably know that your memory is limited. So if they could have boiled this down and made it a little bit more concise, that would be great. And I haven't taken the time to try to do that for you today. I'm just going to kind of give it to you the way they gave it to me. And I'm giving you little tidbits of what they gave. They really fully expanded on this in a huge, huge way. Your 12-year-old son hates that. Oh, hey, Kim. Thank you for sharing that. Greg Landry was on here earlier over on YouTube, and he said that he used this strategy in this book with his kids, and it was a really good one and really helpful. So I hope that I'll be able to say the same. So far, I have implemented a couple things from this book, and I quite enjoyed doing them. All right. Thanks for inviting, Sarah. All right, so the first is the significant 7 perceptions and skills. So these are the things we're looking to develop in our children, and these are the goals and the desired outcomes for everything that comes after this in this book. Number 1 is strong perceptions of personal capabilities. I am capable. Number 2 are strong perceptions of significance in primary relationships. I contribute in meaningful ways, and I am genuinely needed. Number 3, strong perceptions of personal power or influence over life. I can influence what happens to me. Number 4, strong intrapersonal skills. The ability to understand personal emotions and to use that understanding to develop self-discipline and self-control. Number 5 is strong interpersonal skills. The ability to work with others and develop friendships through communicating, cooperating, negotiating, sharing, empathizing, and listening. Number 6, strong systemic skills. The ability to respond to the limits and consequences of everyday life with responsibility, adaptability, flexibility, and integrity. And finally, number 7, strong judgmental skills. The ability to use wisdom and to evaluate situations according to appropriate values. So again, just in that one list, that's one page here in this book on page 6, right in the beginning, 7 big goals of this process. So there's a lot of different things that you can focus on. So just pick what you like and focus on that, okay? Don't be overwhelmed. And then we move on to really the way that, actually, let me cover this as well. So these are the main ways that people parent and they approach their relationships with their children. There's 3 main ways. You're either strict, which means you're excessively controlling. That's what I was just talking about. You try to control the child. 2, you're very permissive and you're excessively uncontrolling, like there's no limits, there's no boundaries, there's nothing the kid could ever do wrong, and there's no expectations. So it's like it's almost like an aimless existence, you know, and the child's like, I don't even really know like what to do and what's expected, right? Thanks for sharing this out, Michael. And then 3rd is positive discipline, which is what this book is called and what it's about. Authoritative, kindness, and firmness at the same time. Being kind and being firm at the same time. So it's important to be firm, but also to be kind. Because typically, parents and everyone really probably in relationships outside of parent-child relationships, we use punishment. If someone does something or says something that we don't like, we want to punish them. We want to cause them blame, shame, and pain. We want to blame them, we want them to feel ashamed, and we want them to be hurt. We want to hurt them. I mean, I noticed this a lot like with the Weinstein thing that was going on. A lot of people were talking about how they just want him to feel a ton of pain. They want him to be hurt. And it's like you come up with this positive feedback loop, you know? So someone's in pain, so they hurt other people. That's not going to make them feel better. Now someone else is in pain. Now that person wants to hurt other people. And it just is an ongoing cycle. So to pay back pain for pain, personally, I don't think is the right solution. And this book also agrees with that. So if your child has caused you pain, try not to just cause pain back at them. Try not to get involved in this revenge type power struggle with your children and with anybody, really, because it's not probably going to end well for either party at all. So the 4 R's of punishment she has are resentment, revenge, rebellion, and retreat. So these are the ways that children typically react to punishment. So the way that she puts this here is beware of what works. So when you punish a child, chances are they will, let the rope go. Chances are they will stop the behavior. But it's also chances are that that's going to be a temporary solution. And even if they stop the behavior, now they might resent you for not trusting them to know what was best for themselves, which we talked about in the other book, The Self-Driven Child. And for trying to control them, you know, they feel resentful. They feel like they can't trust you and that you're not fair. Don't pick up the rope. It's proven that compassion is contagious. We talked about self-compassion the other day and how we tend to be more compassionate to others than we are to ourselves. That was a previous broadcast I did only on Periscope. Secondly would be revenge. So, hey, they might stop the behavior now, but they're like, I can't wait to get my revenge on you. I'm going to make you feel pain. I'm going to try to have some type of control or dominance over you when I get the chance. Third is rebellion. You can't tell me what to do. You can't make me. I'm going to do what I want anyway. And they rebel and push back. And then 4 is retreat, where they either have reduced self-esteem and they retreat inwards and they feel depressed and alone and isolated and like they aren't good enough and inadequate, or they become sneaky and they just try to hide their behaviors from you so that they can avoid the punishment in the future. Now, the 4 criteria she has for effective discipline are, you ask yourself these questions when you think about, okay, I want to try to discipline my child, but I don't want to feel like I'm punishing them so that they then feel any of those 4 things. They feel vengeful, they feel resentful, they feel belittled and isolated and smaller, they become sneaky. You don't want them, and I forget what the 4th one was, but you don't want them to have any of those previously stated R's. So here is, you want to ask yourself, is it kind and firm at the same time? So that's that balance between being overly permissive, oh, it's okay, you did a great job, I love you, honey, or being firm, where you could be too strict, right? So it's too firm, it's not kind at all, and it's not respectful. So that's one thing I want to just share as an example. I shared this when I was on the treadmill one day, but as part of this book, because it came about from this book, as I was reading it, and I'll tell you more about what I was reading and why that came up to be. But one of my stepsons was participating in an activity. Me and my boyfriend were there watching, as well as other family members. And he was not actively participating. He was out there, but he wasn't doing anything. His hands were in his pockets. He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't listening, and he wasn't really doing anything. He wasn't misbehaving, like he wasn't, beating up some kid or just screaming loudly or something, but he also wasn't doing anything. He was just passively, it was like passive resistance, just refusing to do anything. And he was disciplined by the person in charge of the event there. He was basically removed from that activity and asked to sit out for a period of time, I think the rest of the event. And when he was removed from the activity, he looked up at us and we were shaking our heads. And you could tell. So he had just been punished and he had just saw our disapproval and disappointment. So there wasn't really this feeling, it was like we were disappointed, and that's really how we did feel. So there's, should you hide the way that you really feel? Probably not. It's important to be open and honest, but it's also important to acknowledge when you might be being too hard. Like if you want your child to participate in this activity for some reason, kind of ask yourself why. Like, why do I care if he sits out in this activity or does it or not? Like, does it really matter in the grand scheme of life? Like, can I zoom out and see the big picture and see if that's really important? And what if he doesn't want to? Like, why are my desires more valuable than his? If he doesn't want to, why should he have to? Just because I want him to? If there's other reasons, then, we can explain that to him and discuss it and try to find something that meets those requirements. Like, hey, we want you to learn these certain things, but there's other ways to do that. So maybe he could try something else, an alternative activity. Now, I was reading this book. Hey, Mike. I was reading this book at the time this happened. And in this book, they talk about how when children misbehave, they're almost always feeling discouraged. And I'll talk about the 4 different beliefs, as talked about in this book, that they're 4 mistaken beliefs that children have about themselves. And we can further those beliefs in our reactions to something like this. Something pretty simple and trivial such as this. You could see he was physically deflated. He was embarrassed because he was not only removed in front of his family, but also in front of his friends. The person in charge, who he probably looks up to and respects and admires, was basically saying, get out of here, like you're not being helpful right now, so I have no use for you. And he felt down. So that was all that needed to happen. nobody wanted him to behave that way. He got it. He got that was not a popular way to behave. No one rewarded him or said, great job, you just keep doing what you're doing. So when he came over to us, I knew that my typical reaction would probably be to ask a question like, why weren't you doing that? Why were your hands in your pockets? What's wrong? And instead of doing that, when he came over, I just said, I love you so much. I just love you. Because when children behave in a kind of a weird way, in a misbehaving way, it's typically because they're feeling discouraged, which is a concept I got from this book and from this author, and it changed the way I treated that situation and many situations since, to realize that how can I encourage them? So I don't want to say great job, because it wasn't a great job. It was a terrible job. It was like literally nothing. Like you did nothing. Like that's not, I don't want to be like, good job, and just be like inauthentic and lie. They're going to realize like, well, if it was such a good job, why were you shaking your head? Why were you so disappointed? Why did I get removed from the activity? I'm pretty sure it wasn't a great job. So then you get that I can't trust you vibe, So instead I was like, that's behind us. He was already disciplined for that. We don't need to dive into it anymore because we don't want to discourage him from trying again the next time he gets the opportunity. So instead I just told him I loved him. I wanted him to feel encouraged and embraced and accepted and loved regardless of anything else. That make sure that the love gets through. There's a whole section of this book about that. Make sure the message of love is getting communicated to your children regardless of everything else that may be going on. We got to let them know that they're loved and accepted and valued and cherished regardless of their performance on external, really generally unimportant things, whether it's school or sports or clubs or, extracurricular activities, their friend's house, like really in the grand scheme of things, as long as they're not being violent, like it doesn't matter, pretty much doesn't matter. That's the reality. That's the true reality in America today. Okay. So that was just something I wanted to bring up. So I wanted to be kind. I was firm at first, only firm, really probably not very kind. And then I wanted to be kind to kind of balance that out. Like, I love you, but also that's true. I do love him. If he wants to talk about what just happened, he can bring it up. We don't need to talk about it. And I noticed some other people in the family who aren't reading these books, of course, were like, what's wrong? Are you okay? What happened? Why are you being like this? And it's just kind of like it's not necessarily encouraging. It makes you feel even. I know, because when I was in my teenage years, I used to cut myself. I felt so misunderstood and isolated. I had people around me. I had friends. I had my mom. I went to school, I had a lot of people around, but I didn't feel like really truly connected or understood by pretty much any of those people. And I just felt really weird and really like people would always question me, like, why are you like this? And that's how I kind of always felt. I'd always ask myself that, why am I like this? Why am I so different from everyone else? And feeling very, very different from everyone else around you is not a great feeling. Typically, it's very isolating and it can lead to depression. And I know because I experienced that. And that's the last thing I want for my stepsons or for anyone, it's the whole reason I do this, broadcasting, because I'm trying to go out there and let you know, like, hey, I'm weird as hell. Like we all have our weird differences and diversity. And the things that you think are weird aren't really that weird in the grand scheme of the world. There's probably hundreds to thousands to hundreds of thousands of people that are just like you. They just don't live in your town. They just don't go to your high school. That's okay. Your high school is pretty small compared to the 7 billion people in the world. There's probably a lot of people who like to read books and, are interested in business and finance. For me, these are some of the things I'm interested in, and yoga, and, not like just going out dancing, getting drunk every weekend. But sometimes I like to do that too, like everybody has their things. Okay, moving on. So these are the criteria for effective discipline. Is it kind and firm at the same time? Respectful and encouraging. Number 2, does it help the child to feel a sense of belonging and significance? Because these mistaken beliefs that they have, and this where they're feeling discouraged. Is it Adler? There's a psychologist they talk about in here, I believe it's Adler, that believes that all humans basically act out of the desire for belonging. Children, adults, anything. If I come across it, I'll let you know, but it's a pretty prominent psychologist. I love you too, Joe. Oh, because I like to get drunk sometimes. That's funny. And he says that, everyone searches for a sense of meaning and belonging and significance. So we want to communicate that to our children. We want them to know that they are significant in our lives, they have meaning, and they are valued, and they belong, right? They are connected. Not that they don't belong. Like, my sister used to jokingly tell me I was adopted. My mom was always like, why do you ask so many questions? I remember my great aunt, actually, who has since passed, asked me one time, and it brought me to tears. She said, wow, Taylor, why do you have to overanalyze everything? My God. You could tell, like, she just verbalized how annoying I was being to her. She was just like, oh, this is horrible. It's disgusting, And that was so, so hard. I mean, I still feel a little emotional now thinking about it, because I was really emotional at the time. So it's like a little bit of a samskara. We call that in yoga blocked energy, where it's like a little bit sensitive to touch that part of my body, of my psyche, I should say. So because that's me. Like, that is my personality to the core. Like, I can't change that about myself. I can't be less analytical. I can't not analyze something and be curious about it and ask questions and want to learn more. And that's a great quality about me, and many people enjoy that quality. Maybe in certain social situations it's annoying, and I should work on that, and I can work on that for the benefit of social furthering of me and my genetics or whatever. But in that, to see that and to feel that way, how I felt, because then my cousin was kind of like laughing, like, I know, what the hell? And I just felt very rejected by these people who were supposed to love and encourage and support me, and I didn't feel like I belonged there. I felt like I didn't belong in this whole family, and it was the only family I knew, because I didn't meet my dad till I was 19 years old, and my dad is a computer programmer and has been forever, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, me and him will talk about the dumbest things, and we will analyze them until the cows come home, and it's a complete waste of time, but we enjoy it, and it comes naturally to us, and it doesn't bother either of us if we want to debate or, ask questions and be skeptical, and these things that are part of my personality. So when I met him, I felt, okay, this makes a lot more sense. Not that I feel super connected and like belonging with him, but I'm not the only one like that, So we want to communicate to our kids that they belong, that they're accepted, even if their quirks are like from the other parent or whatever, Number 3, is it effective long term? Because punishment can be very effective in the short term, but then again, you get that resentment, the revenge, the retreating. The 4th one I still can't remember. So we want something that's going to be useful long term. How are we going to be able to change this behavior for the long term, if it needs to be changed at all? Hey, Jamie, how are you? And 4, does it teach valuable social and life skills for good character, such as respect? I'm really big on respect right now, because I feel like my stepsons are generally disrespectful. Let's just say they're disrespectful. So that's challenging to me, because it's like, it's really difficult to teach someone to be respectful and why it's important to be respectful. So I've been kind of like toying with these ideas, and I really value selfishness. I study Ayn Rand, The Virtue of Selfishness, one of my favorite books in the entire world. And I think it's important to be selfish, because we can't give to other people unless we have an excess to give from. So it's important to first take care of ourselves, then to get an excess so that we can take that excess and do whatever we want with it, which is typically going to be to help take care of other people, to educate other people. It's what I try to do, so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, well, how does respect play into that? And I realized that those two kind of balance each other out. It's good to be it's good to be selfish, but then respect is like the check and balance on selfishness. Because you can't just walk up to someone, I mean, technically you can, but I believe that you shouldn't walk up to somebody else and take something from them because you wanted it, right? Just pure selfishness. I want that, I take that. If I'm strong enough, if I'm wealthy enough, if I'm smart enough, I'm just going to take what's yours from myself and not worry about you. Well, if we can be respectful of other people, we can say, okay, there's plenty enough for all of us. Let me be respectful of others as I pursue the things that I want in life. I think that's the best path for me personally. That's the path I try to go down, and I think it would be best for everyone, but that's my own perception. So I'm trying to be more open-minded, but that's something I'm trying to work on right now with how do you teach a child respect, So asking questions is great. That's something they talk about in this book. Curiosity questions comes very naturally to me. I'm a curious person. I ask a lot of questions. So In this sense, it's like you can ask them, why is it important to be respectful? What does it look like to be respectful? What is respect? Why would so if it's like, listening when someone else is talking, okay, well, what would be wrong if everyone talked at the same time? What would be the problem with that? Well, not everyone could hear, I wouldn't be able to hear what other people were saying. And I want to hear what they're saying. So if I'm talking at the same time as them, they're not going to hear what I'm saying, I'm not going to hear what they're saying. It's going to mess up the whole process. Exactly. That's kind of one little example of respect, The Next Juice family. Yes. Hey, Darcy. Darcy, do you use those hair chopsticks ever? I'm thinking about making some on the lathe to send to me. I mean, I would use them if you sent them to me probably, but I don't typically use them, no. I don't even know if I'm talented enough to use them. I might have to like put my hair bun up with the hair tie and then put the chopsticks into it, but we can make it work. All right. Respect, concern for others, similar concept there. Problem solving. Stop solving your kids' problems for them. They can solve a lot more problems than you think. Okay, if your child is an infant, solve the problem. All right, it's an infant. Can't even barely walk and probably talk. If your child is in elementary school or above, they can solve a lot of problems on their own. If they ask for help, you can help them, but you can also teach them while you're helping them, right? So let me show you, how to do this. At the same time, there's love languages too, right? So that's another book, The 5 Love Languages. There's also 5 Love Languages of Children, which I reviewed at the end of 2019, where acts of service can be one of your children's love language. So if it is, especially if it's one of their primary love languages, and they say, hey, can you give me some juice? You can go get them the juice. Say, yeah, I'll do that for you because I love you. I know you could do it by yourself, but I'll get it for you because I love you, as an act of love, as opposed to you're incapable of getting the juice for yourself. I don't trust you to pour your own juice or whatever it is, they're capable of doing it. You want to make sure that they can do these things without you, but it's okay to do it for them too, to let them know that you love them, you support them, you encourage them, you care for them, Accountability, contribution, and cooperation. A lot of things that were talked about already previously. Whew. I am on a tangent. Okay. What I like about this book too is at the end of every chapter, there is a review of what the chapter was about, as well as questions to help you to solidify what you read. So this can be really helpful for like a study group or a book club. If you want to kind of like really solidify the information, if you're reading this with your spouse, maybe even, I don't know if it's going to be like something to do with your children. I don't think so. But I like when they kind of sum things up at the end of the chapter. Again, it's still not very summed up though, because like number 4 here, there's 9 bullet points about the chapter. Number 4 is provide opportunities for children to develop strength in the significant 7 perceptions and skills. So number 4 is actually 7 things. So they definitely would benefit from some lessons from like Gary Keller. He authored The One Thing. Brian Tracy, the author of Eat That Frog, 2 really good books that I really enjoy. We want to have a little bit more. 8, yeah, that's true, Peter. Yeah. We want to have a little bit more conciseness. Personally, I want to have a little more conciseness. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I would like. It would make my review a little bit shorter as well. Okay, so page 29, we have 4 steps for winning cooperation. So the best thing is to get the child to be cooperative with you, and that way they're going to learn how to be cooperative with the other people in society, which is going to be very important for them throughout their lives. Hands down. They have to be able to work in groups. Even if they go work for themselves one day, they might have employees, they might have contractors, they're going to have clients, they're going to have to work with someone at some point. If they're ever going to have a relationship with anybody, a friend or booty call or friends with benefits or a marriage, they're going to need to be able to cooperate with other people. So this is how we can learn to win cooperation from children as their parents. Number 1, express understanding for the child's feelings and be sure to check with them to see if you are right. I've tried this a little bit, but I kind of forgot about this part because it's early in the book, so I'm going to try to get better with this. So you can say to the child, I remember one time when this happened to me. So if they get in trouble for something or something happened and they, you think they're feeling some type of way about something. Yeah, I remember when that happened to me, it made me feel really blank, whatever the feeling was. I just remember feeling such and such. Is that how this is making you feel? Is that how you feel right now? They might say yes or no. And it's interesting, like, children have such a small perception of the world. Like, they've only been alive for so many years. They don't even realize that you, their parents, who are kind of seem to them like, oh, know-it-alls, have made mistakes or got in trouble or were children. So when you share stories like that with them, it makes them feel more connected to you, and you're a lot more relatable, and they can trust you because you're not perfect. You know, I've told them about like tickets that I've gotten when I've gotten pulled over. You know, my boyfriend Ed, he's done the same thing. He's like, yeah, I got pulled over for being on my phone. And they're like, oh, Daddy, you know, oh, you got pulled over? Oh my God, did you go to jail? You know, it's like, we're not perfect people. We learn lessons, and we take mistakes are great opportunities to learn. And it's the same thing with this. You're not going to get all these strategies in this book or any parenting book. You're not going to be this perfect parent that never makes any mistakes. But just like with other parts of our life in parenting, mistakes are great learning opportunities. And if you can model that for your children, they're going to hopefully do the same thing with their mistakes. Learn from them, as opposed to let them feel defeated and then avoid the thing that they made the mistake on in the future. Or just keep making the same mistakes. Hey TRC, yeah, I am back. Hi. Hey Chip, welcome back. And Sonam and Ed and Victoria. My boyfriend has kids, so I have step kids in a way. We're not married, but we have them half the time. So number 2, show empathy without condoning. Empathy does not mean you agree or you condone the behavior, meaning you encourage or support the behavior. It simply means that you understand the child's perception. A nice touch here is to share times when you have felt or behaved similarly. So I kind of skipped to that step already when I said that. Share your feelings and perceptions. If the first 2 steps have been done in a sincere and friendly manner, the child will be ready to listen to you now, hopefully. And this is also something where you can say how you feel about it now. Like, now that you're an adult, you can kind of see why you got in trouble for that, or why your mom was so angry about that, because you remember being in their position, but now you can see from this point of view, and you can see why maybe she was so upset about it, and why maybe we reacted how we reacted or something, or why they have some type of punishment that they're dealing with now, some consequence. And then number 4, invite the child to focus on a solution. Ask them if they have any ideas on what to do in the future to avoid the problem. If they don't, offer some suggestions until you can reach an agreement. So the point of this is to solve the problem. Okay, it's not about blaming the kid or making him feel ashamed or causing them pain. Those are not the necessary ingredients to keep it from happening in the future. Work together. View them as an equal. Treat them as an equal. Like, I trust you to be a smart person with a brain, a human being. You have a brain, and you can solve problems, and you can help me with this to solve these problems. What can we come up with together as a team who is connected and we belong together to fix this problem and prevent it from happening in the future? Yeah, okay, so it is Adler. Adlerian concepts. 1, children are social beings. 2, behavior is goal-oriented. 3, a child's primary goal is to belong and to feel significant. And 4, a misbehaving child is a discouraged child. A misbehaving child is trying to tell us, I don't feel like I belong or have significance, and I have a mistaken belief about how to achieve it. So the mistaken beliefs are on page 70. So the 4 mistaken beliefs, I referred to it earlier, but I didn't say what they were yet. 4 mistaken beliefs that your child could have about themselves, and you could be unknowingly and unintentionally perpetuating and making worse. Number 1, attention. The mistaken belief is that they only belong when they have your attention. So they feel disconnected unless eyes are on them, they have your attention. Number 2 is power. So the mistaken belief is, I only belong when I'm the boss, or at least when I don't let you boss me around. Number 3 is revenge. I don't belong, but at least I can hurt back. Talked about that a lot already. And number 4, which I've been noticing with in the situation I told you guys about, that activity where my stepson was not participating in the activity, we were all kind of like frustrated with why he was doing that. It turned out it was number 4, assumed inadequacy. The mistaken belief is that it is impossible, I give up, I can't do it, I'm not good at it. Kids don't realize that, like, you have to, when you first start something, you suck at it. Everyone does. Occasionally you'll find one thing where, like, you're just a natural, but most of the time, and for most of us, there might be nothing that we're just a natural at. We have to practice. We have to do it over and over. They say you have to do something for 10,000 hours before you become, like, a world-renowned expert. Not necessarily renowned, but a world expert. You know, at the expert level. 10,000 hours, I mean, that's years of doing one thing. So, of course, the first time you try to ride your bike, you fall off of it and you suck at it. That's normal. That's all of us. But if you just keep practicing, stick with it, then you'll get better at it. So it's not like you don't want your kid to give up before they realize they can do something, because that gives them a sense of power and control. And these are 2 of those 7 significant things we talked about in the beginning that we want them to realize and learn. Now, this is kind of out of order. I might forget to talk about this one part, but I'm going to skip ahead now to something that's towards the end of the book, and something I found really profound about myself as a parent and as a person in general, and as someone who basically, like, coaches and mentors people through my social media presence, is the 4 lifestyle priorities of adults. So there's the 4 mistaken goals of the children. You know, they believe that they're inadequate, or it's like a power struggle, or they want revenge, or why can't I ever remember the 4th thing? This is why these lists are too long. See which of these seems to be your priority, your lifestyle priority, and you can type it in the chat if you want. Number 1 is comfort. So your worst fear is emotional and physical pain and stress. Expectations from others, another worst fear, and being cornered by others, terrible fear of yours. So you believe the best way to avoid your worst fears is to seek comfort, or to ask for special service, or to make others comfortable, or to choose the easiest way, which is the opposite of eat that frog, right? Yeah, I know, dude, these pants are way too tight for me. Yeah, it's a bodysuit. Which means that you're easygoing, you make few demands, you mind your own business, you're a peacemaker, you're mellow, empathetic, predictable, but you don't develop your talents. You limit your productivity and you avoid personal growth, which means you unknowingly invite from other people annoyance, irritation, boredom, impatience, and then you create and then complain about diminished productivity, impatience, and lack of personal growth. So that's you if your lifestyle priority is comfort. The next one is control. Your worst fear is humiliation, criticism, or the unexpected. You believe the best way to avoid those fears is to control yourself and or others, and or the situation, the environment. Your assets are you're a good leader, you're organized, you're productive, you're persistent, you're assertive, you follow the rules, but you're rigid, you don't develop your creativity, you're not spontaneous, and you don't have a whole lot of social closeness because you're a bit of a control freak, you're controlling. Which means you unknowingly invite from others rebellion, resistance, challenge, and frustration. And you create and then complain about your lack of friends and closeness and how uptight you feel. Third is pleasing. So if pleasing is your lifestyle priority, your worst fear is rejection or abandonment or being hassled. You believe the best way to avoid those things is to please others, which in an active sense is when you demand approval from others and you expect other people to approve of you. And passively is when you evoke pity. You're like, oh, woe is me. I'm so like, I need help. Your assets are you're friendly, you're considerate, you compromise, you're not aggressive, you're a volunteer, you volunteer to do things and help out, but you don't check with others about what pleases them, and you don't take care of yourself. So then someone else ends up needing to take care of you if anyone's going to at all. You unknowingly invite from other people pleasure at first, and then demands for approval and reciprocation. And then you create and then complain about your lack of respect for yourself and others and resentment. And then finally, and this is the one I think I struggle with the most, just to be totally transparent, the fourth lifestyle priority is superiority. Your worst fear is meaninglessness and unimportance. You believe the best way to avoid those fears is to do more, be better than the others, be right, be more useful, be more competent. Your assets are you're knowledgeable, you're idealistic, you're persistent, you have social interest, and you get things done. But you're a workaholic, you're overburdened, you're over-responsible, you're over-involved. Totally me. You unknowingly invite from others feelings of inadequacy and guilt. Like, how can I ever measure up? And some people will even lie to you to avoid you judging them. And then you create and then complain about being overwhelmed, a lack of time, I have to do everything. I'm like, oh, I'm somewhere between superiority and control probably. And they do say that for people with the superiority kind of complex, you could call it, it's not that you feel like you want to be superior to others, it's that you feel that you're not good enough unless you're superior at something, like you excel at something. You're better at something than someone else. It's not that you're like ethically, you're not like better, you're not superior to them in a humane sense, but that you just feel like you're not good enough unless you're doing really well at something. And I totally struggle with that feeling myself. And that freaks me out because I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my God, I could totally be making the kids, Ed's kids, be feeling like inferior, not good enough, like that pressure. And I don't mean to, and of course I don't think that I'm doing that. You would never knowingly do that. But when you're always living in this state of like, I gotta do more, I gotta be better, I gotta do the best, and then you're always saying, just do your best to the kids. Well, just keep trying, you'll get it, just stick with it, don't give up. You're kind of like doing this pressure thing on them where they feel like, dude, it's never gonna be good enough. I'm never gonna measure up. Like, I'm always gonna be inadequate. So I was like, whoa, that was a huge reality check for me in this book. And I just love that they included that for the parents, because it's talking about how your personality reflects on your children and how it affects them. And that was like, for me. So I hope that helps somebody out there too. Now, the one part that I skipped that I don't want to forget is when I was talking about mistakes. So these are the 3 R's of recovery from mistakes. 1, recognize you made a mistake. Wow, I made a mistake. 2, reconcile. I apologize. And really the best word for this is I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. I was having this conversation with Ed the other day. Hi, Gary. Who else just came in here? Lori, hi. Gary, I'm not talking about you. And then 3 is resolve it. Let's work on a solution together. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Let's fix it. Just, own up to it. Hi. Okay, we're getting towards the end here. So the best way to focus on solutions to solve problems is make sure that the solution is 1, there's 4. The 3 R's and an H for focusing on solutions. 1, related. It's got to be related to the behavior or the problem, right? If you're going to solve something, your solution has to be related to the original thing. 2, it needs to be respectful to everyone involved. 3, it needs to be reasonable, okay? It's got to be something that can actually happen. The other day, we were brainstorming ideas for what to do when your brother tattles on you. And one of the ideas from one of the kids is, you put him in the trash. Of course. And of course, I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm trying to be open-minded and just write down whatever ideas they have. And Ed's looking at me like, we are not throwing the kids in the trash. I'm not putting my child in the trash. I'm like, obviously we're not putting the kids in the trash. Like, we're not going to put them in the trash. But we could get another trash can as a potential thing where, like, if they do something wrong, like, because it's kind of a funny thing. Like, okay, well, I'm picking you up and I'm putting you in the trash now. It's not the actual trash. But if the kid comes up with a solution themselves, it's like it doesn't bother them. We have so many preconceived notions and beliefs. Oh, what would other people think? What are we going to do? Oh, they're going to tell their grandparents. They're going to say, oh, stop putting your kid in the trash. They said they wanted to be put in the trash, okay? I'm not putting them in the trash, and I'm not, like, taking them out and, like, tying them up in a bag and, like, putting them in the actual trash. Okay, it'd be, like, a trash can with no trash in it. It's, like, the tattle trash or something, right? You don't know. That might be funny and fun for them, and it might keep them from tattling on each other, which they said was a problem, not us. We weren't expressing that problem, although I do think that has the potential to become a problem because they come to us to solve the problems. I think it's important for them to try to solve them themselves. Certain things are okay, right? So if someone's physically hurting you or is hurt themselves, that's not tattling. But if it's like, oh, he won't let me play with the game, or like, he won't let me play with his toy. Well, it's his toy. He doesn't really have to let you play with it. Tough luck, you know? The things you think about saying as a parent, but usually don't say, and occasionally sometimes say by accident. All right. So be reasonable. Don't throw your kids in the actual trash. That's the moral of the story. Number 4, is it helpful? Okay, so the solution should actually be helpful, not a punishment. It should be something that actually helps. And the songs, really? Thank you too, Steph. I appreciate that. All right. So other concepts from this book. I can stop reading directly from the book now. Again, there it is. Positive Discipline, the classic guide to helping children develop self-discipline, responsibility, cooperation, and problem-solving skills by Jane Nelsen. Again, I learned about this in one of my psychology classes. Okay, my camera is backwards and I always forget how to do my hair. All right. Curiosity questions. Remain calm. I learned about that a lot more in the Self-Driven Child, great book. Remain calm and ask questions. So you can ask kids questions that to you seem obvious, like they have obvious answers. And as your children get older, they might roll their eyes and be like, this is so annoying, like they feel like you're being patronizing. But it's better to ask questions than to make demands or to tell someone something. So you ask them, oh, did you clean the kitchen? And they say, yeah, I cleaned the kitchen. And you go in the kitchen and it's like not cleaned. Now, there's a few things here. It's not clean to your satisfaction. Now, why is that? What do you need to have happen for it to be clean? Have you ever told the child that or taught them how to do it or showed them how to do it? So if you want the floors swept and the counters wiped down and the dishes not only rinsed out in the sink but also put in the dishwasher and the clean dishes in the dishwasher put away, there might be like multiple steps and the leftovers wrapped up and put in the fridge and all these things. And they just thought, oh, I just have to put my dishes in the sink. Or I just need to do the dishes. Maybe you don't have a dishwasher, whatever it is. So you have to first take time for training, okay? So you have to actually show them what your expectations are. And then if they don't meet them after you've actually gone through that process, you can ask them, okay, well, what about the floors? Or did you sweep the floors? It's a matter of like, okay, well, what needs to be done with the countertops? Okay, what about the dishes? You're asking these questions, curiosity questions. You're not telling them the dishes aren't done, the counter's not cleaned, the floor's not swept. You're just asking questions. That can be a lot more effective than telling because they have to kind of answer it. Like they can lie, you can be like, did you sweep the floor? And they can be like, yeah. And then you're like, okay, well, why is there a bunch of pasta on the floor or something like, and then they'd be like, cause I didn't sweep it, like, who knows? Like, what are they going to say? I don't know. Okay, well, do you think it would be helpful to sweep the floor, the whole floor or something, just like try to stay calm. Try not to be sarcastic and patronizing with it. Just try to like have an objective, like you're just trying to help them, right? You're trying to solve the problem. You're trying to help the situation. Eat the pasta. Well, not if it's on the floor. Okay. Another concept in this book is positive timeout. So I came up with the name, the chill zone. Whatever you want to call it and whatever your kid wants to call it especially, this can be really important. So people often use timeout. They say, all right, you're going into timeout. You got to go sit in the corner, or you got to go sit in this chair, or sit on the stairs, or go to your room and have a timeout. So that ends up, hey Nanashi, we're talking about a book called Positive Discipline. It's about parenting. So that can really cause a lot of stress and anxiety. I know it does in our house. If we tell one of the kids to go to their room, it's a whole thing. So this concept, I haven't implemented this yet, but I'd like to try and then talk to you guys and tell you guys kind of how it goes for me. It's called positive timeout, and you can change that term, but that's what they call it in the book, and they say, name it whatever you want, is you come up with a nice space, so a calming space where the child goes when they just need a little time. The point of a timeout, again, is not punishment. It's not social isolation. It's not like, oh, you were bad, so you don't get to do anything anymore. It's, okay, you're upset, and you need to just calm down so that you can come back to this with a rational, logical energy and mind. Now, remember, another important component here is so do I. I, as the parent, need to be calm and rational and not upset. So I may need to go to a positive timeout. I may need to go into the bathroom or to my bedroom or to the kitchen or wherever calms you down and has a calming feeling. I may need to go there. It might even be you actually, if your kids are old enough or if the other parent is around, it might be leaving the house. It might be going for a little drive, listening to some music that you like. You need to get away, you need to cool down, get yourself away from the situation, get those emotions in check. Have your emotions where it's not going to be detrimental to the relationship, just like with a relationship that you have, like a love relationship. Okay, sometimes you need to just take a minute, have some space, cool down before you come back together and talk about the problem. Same thing with kids. But it's not just the kid that needs to go away. If you're feeling upset and you're getting into this power struggle with the child, then you need to take a cool down too. So that is a really great way to model for them. You say, you know what, I can feel that I'm getting really upset and emotional and I'm not being reasonable or fair right now, so I'm gonna go take a break. I'm gonna go to my chill out zone or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna take my own positive time out and I'm gonna calm down and I'm gonna come back to you when I'm ready and when I feel ready to deal with this. So this isn't a thing where you can't do anything. You can, as an adult, we can do things, right? We can go for a drive in the car. We can listen to music. We can read a book. We can watch a TV show. Oftentimes, if I'm upset, I watch a comedy special on Netflix because it makes me laugh. And when I'm laughing and things are funny, it's really hard to be upset because that's hilarious. What did that guy just say? I'm laughing. So I'm not going to be mad or sad as much anymore, and it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Or you call a friend and talk to them or whatever it is for you that makes you feel better. So the kid can have that too. In their chill out zone, they can have music, they can have maybe a game or a book or a toy, like whatever, it can be their bedroom and they can have fun in there because the better of a mood they end up in when they come out, when they're ready, the better it is for all of us. It is not about blame, shame, and pain. Again, I've said that 2 times, I think, already, and here's the 3rd time, drilling it in. We are not trying to hurt the child. We just want them to cool out so that they can be in a better state of mind and come and address the problem in a better state of mind. So that's what the chill out zone is. You go to yourself, and if your child's really young, you can bring the child to the chill out zone that you both go to, and you both chill out and cool out in the same area. Excuse me. So you're modeling that you do it too, you need it too, and that it's not a bad thing. It's good. It's like a fun getaway from the stress, and then we can come back and we're not stressed anymore, so there's no more stress, and now it's just, all right, how can we help each other? How can we fix this problem in a respectful, helpful way? And then the final thing that I wanted to talk about is family meetings. So if you are a teacher, they talk about class meetings in the book as well. I'm a yoga teacher, but not for children, so I really focused on the family meeting part of the book. So number 1, the purpose of family meetings. And I never had family meetings growing up, and some of you guys are like, oh, this is so cheesy, I'm never going to do this, probably especially if you're a man out there, but just hear me out. Hey Fresh, the purpose of family meetings is to help each other and to solve problems. It's like, for those of you who work in an office or have ever worked in some type of like corporate structure, how much easier is it when everybody gets together, talks about a problem, solves a problem, boom. We're all together, we have all opinions, we air it out, we get the problem solved, done. Now there's such thing as too many meetings in a workplace, right? The same thing here, it's too many. We're not gonna have like a family meeting every day. Then to go one at a time to each person around your office and say the problem. Here, I'm dealing with this problem. I'm so frustrated with this. I'm frustrated. So same thing with your family. Like, how often is the whole family together trying to solve a problem? So it's like someone doesn't hear about what the proposed solution was to the problem. Now, especially with like divorced families. Now, divorced families aren't probably usually going to come together for the family meeting, although that would probably be great. So it's like that happens, right? So at mom's house, this is the solution to this problem. And at dad's house, completely different solution. So that's a good example of, and even if you live in the same house, oh, well, I go ask mom, she says this. I go ask dad, he says this. And then it's like, oh, I get to basically choose, and then I can turn them on each other, and all this chaos can ensue. Whereas when you're all together, sitting around a table, looking at each other, thank you, Gary, for the super hearts, there's no escaping. There is no pinning anyone against anyone. We're all here. We're all airing. This is the airing of the grievances, and we will solve the problems. And it's also about helping each other. So the way that the family meetings open is every person. Now you have something like we use a little stuffed creeper from Minecraft as our little like talking doll, and whoever's holding the creeper is the person who gets to talk. And if you're not holding the creeper, then you shouldn't be talking, right? That's our practice in respect. And you can use like a pen or keys or whatever. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Just something to indicate I have the power to speak right now. No one else should be speaking. Everyone else should be listening. So God bless America, family meetings 20 years ahead of us. So if I'm holding the creeper, and I've met other people as I've been talking about this, I've met people on Periscope who said they had family meetings their whole childhood and they were great. And people of, blended families that they loved having the family meetings and they feel closer to their kids than ever, and lots of good stuff. So I've only done 2 and I'm really loving it. Ireland, Next Juice is the name of this channel. I go live every single day, 7 days a week for 3 hours a day. And the term means a connected group of people who value positivity. Next is short for Nexus, which means which means a connected group. And then juice is like our little slang term for that juicy, positive, high energy, happy kind of quality of positivity. So connected group of people who value positivity every single day, 7 days a week. Yeah, okay. I'm always wanting to say more than I need to say. That's the answer. So you start the meetings out where everyone goes around the meeting and each person says a compliment about every single person sitting at the table. Or you can mix it up. So every other week, it's once a week. And you could also do gratitude. So each person goes around and just says one thing that they're grateful for. All of these things are so powerful. Compliments and gratitude. So compliments, this could be helpful for your marriage. You have to say something nice. You have to give that spouse who you might have been married to for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. You have to compliment them and set a good example for your children. That could be the first compliment you've given her in years, or given him in years. And it might feel weird, like I don't even want to, do it. It's amazing. It's so powerful. And the kids will be the same. So siblings aren't used to complimenting each other. Usually they're more used to tearing each other down and fighting and tattling. It's really, really, really challenging. I mean, my stepsons are 7 years old, and it is challenging, so challenging for them to think of one nice thing to say about each other. And when they do, they don't even want to look at each other. But as soon as one does, the other one lights up, and then it's so much easier. It flows so much more easily. So it's really powerful. It's very, very powerful. I've already seen it in just my 2 that I've done since reading this book. The creeper or conch shell helps stop alphas from talking over people. Yeah. Thanks, Fresh. I only go to meetings when there's snacks. I thought it was like a smoothies recipe channel. I know everyone's like, do you juice? I'm like, no, I don't juice. I don't have a juicer. Juice is fine, but I drink water. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, I'm so easily distracted by comments. All right. Once a week, compliments, and then gratitude. Gratitude has been proven to be very powerful in changing the neural structure, the neural pathways and structures of the neural pathways in our brains if we focus on gratitude. In particular, every single day for 21 days straight, something new. If you can think of something new each day. That's the individual study. But in these family meetings, each person goes around, I'm so thankful that, you can even bundle it into a compliment. I'm so thankful that you made dinner for us tonight. Whatever, okay? Compliments or gratitude. Switch it up, do it however you want. Maybe you leave it up to be optional. They can do a compliment or a gratitude. In family meetings, consensus is necessary, not the majority. So if everyone doesn't agree on the solution to a problem, it stays on the agenda for the following family meeting until there can be consensus come to about the problem. It's okay if things stay on the agenda. So the agenda will just be like a notebook, like this, left in a common area with a pen, and people can add things to the agenda. So these are basically things they want to discuss at the family meeting. So it might be problems, it might be compliments, it might be gratitude. So whatever, and this helps with the tattling thing. So the kid comes to you and says, hey, he won't share his video game with me or whatever. You just say, okay, do you want to put it on the agenda for the family meeting? because they know that it's going to take longer. The family meeting is going to take longer the more problems that are on it, although I do set a time limit. So for us, we just do 30 minutes. There's 7, right? So 30 minutes. But it also, like, they want to solve it now, so hopefully they'll go solve it, you know? Like, we're trying to get them to solve the problem. One example in the book was given of a guy who uses his thumb as a fake microphone. So one of the dads, and he says, "This is, you know, Bob reporting live from the living room. Tell us your version of the story, sir." You know, and then he's like, he blah, 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 or whatever. Or they just laugh and they're like, they'll roll their eyes and leave him alone, right? He doesn't have to get involved. And then he goes, "That is just shocking. Shall we see what the other person said?" You know, he like kind of makes like a silly thing out of it. And then he's like, "Oh, do you have any ideas for solutions to this problem?" You know? And then if they don't, then he's like, "Okay, tune in next week where we will hopefully have sorted this out." You know, and then he just like walks away. It's like he's trying not to get involved. Like, "I'm not going to solve this for you. I'm going to be here. We're going to have some fun. Like, you know, let's." Ooh. Oh, it's 8:30, isn't it? Oh, God. Okay, Ed. Oh, God. Wait. Really put in the effort, and it's pretty amazing. Absolutely. Okay, I'm almost done. So you also, during these family meetings, can plan something fun to do as a family over the next week. So, for example, for us, we're going to Florida this weekend, and what we've been doing is thinking about things we can do in Florida. What if the weather's not good? What are some fun things we can do inside? One kid's like, buy a cake and eat the whole thing. We'll just buy a cake and we'll eat it. And I was like, great, that sounds fun. Someone else is like, the other boy, he's like, "Is there an indoor arcade somewhere we can go to?" You know, he's like, wants to play video games. Like, sure, we'll try to find something like that. So we're coming up with like, okay, it's going to be fun. We're setting that expectation. And it doesn't have to be that. It could be like, oh, let's go see a movie. Or it could be something free. Let's have a family game night. You know, let's just do something. We can go on a little road trip, go explore a park, go for a walk together. Something fun to do together as a family. Go shoot some hoops at the park or something. And then, ideally, you do something together as a family after the meeting. We haven't been perfect about that. It doesn't always work out exactly that way. Like the last time, one of the boys wanted me to take him to the store so he could spend some of his money. We didn't have a lot of time between like then and bedtime, so it was like, okay, we're not going to do something as a whole family. We do a lot of stuff as family. Well, you know, nothing's perfect, like I said. So typically, though, you'd want to do something together. So do like a little game afterwards, or make a snack, have a snack together, or dessert, or, you know, really anything. Do whatever you want. Like I said, go for a walk or something afterwards. Do something together as a family right after the meeting, too, just to build that cohesiveness, that connection, and that sense of belonging. You want to encourage and invite these people to feel like they belong in the family. And the moral of the story for this whole book is encourage the child. Remember, if they are misbehaving, they're likely feeling discouraged. They might feel inadequate. They might feel like they're only valuable when they get attention. One thing I didn't mention is that you can ask the child, "Oh, are you doing this right now because you want my attention? Are you doing this right now because you want to show me that you don't have to do what I want to do and you want to be the boss? You know, are you doing this because you feel like you can't do it? Like you feel like you want to give up?" You know, like curiosity questions again. So they're not stewing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You definitely want to end it on a positive note. Okay, like, so you just, however much time you have, you go over the agenda, right? Okay. Oh, and each person puts their name next to it. So if I put something on the agenda, say I have a problem. I had one example. The kids were leaving their plates in our bedroom. They were eating snacks in our bed and then leaving their plates in our bedroom. And I had asked them the night before, "Okay, I'm going to let you eat these snacks in our bed, but you have to make sure that, 1, you don't get any crumbs in the bed, and 2, which I don't care about as much as 2, the plates make it back down to the kitchen." And during the family meeting, I had that on the list, and I said, "Why do you think this would be a problem for me?" So again, it's curiosity questions. Why would that be a problem? Well, because it's dirty, because there might be ants. I mean, they came up with all this on their own. But then I kept probing, okay, but then what might happen if that kept happening, if you kept putting more and more plates in the bedroom? What would happen down here in the kitchen? And they were like, there wouldn't be any plates, you know, like that's really the ultimate thing. Is like, I'm looking for dishes and they're not here because they're like randomly strewn about the house. So if we can make sure they always make it back to the kitchen, that's better for all of us, because then we always have the dishes that we need and they're getting cleaned, because what if they're all dirty? What are we going to do? We're going to have to wash them. And it's a very trivial problem. It was just as an example for the family meetings. And then at first the kids wanted to put new things. Oh, he's always touching me. It's so annoying. Oh, he's always tattling on me. That was the first meeting, right? And then they were like, I'm bored. It was like too much brainstorming solutions and everything. Then the second meeting, it was like, does anyone have any problems they wanted to add to the agenda? Nope, we're good. I said, is tattling still a problem? They said, nope, he's not tattling on me anymore. Cross it off the list. I let them cross it off the list. Whoever solves the problem crosses it off the list. Oh, is he still touching you? No, he hasn't been touching me really. It's kind of weird. He hasn't been touching me. Oh, okay, sounds like it's solved. Cross it off. You can always add things back to the list later, but letting them see that, that's why a physical notebook is a great option, because you can see all these problems that you've solved together as a family. And just remember, the purpose is to help each other and to solve problems. And I'm going to shut up now because I've been going on for quite a while about this awesome book. Remember, it's all about encouragement. Just encourage your child. Make sure the message of love is getting through. Be calm. Positive Discipline, the classic guide to helping children develop self-discipline, responsibility, cooperation, and problem-solving skills. Yep, they can figure out the consequences exactly. Natural consequences, logical consequences. Just be careful that you don't think that blame, shame, and punishment and pain are the natural or logical consequences to misbehavior. The logical consequence should be to figure out what's really the underlying belief on why they're doing that, and help to encourage them and to make sure that they know that they're loved. I love you guys. Thank you for the super hearts. Oh, Yanni, I didn't even see that. Thank you for the super heart. Boxing, thank you. And Mike, thank you guys so much for the super hearts. Thank you to all of you amazing people that make this channel possible at the link nextjuice.com/support. Remember, if you become a recurring monthly supporter of this channel, you get access to my private Periscope group where I go live as much as I can. I was live 5 hours in there today alone. Just today, I did 5 additional hours of content in the private group, and I'm probably not going to get I can guarantee I'm not going to get my full 3 hours of public content done tonight. So if you're in the private group, you already got like 7 hours of content. But if you're not, then I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to call it a little bit short tonight, because I have to be up super early to catch a flight, and my sleep is important, so I can have good energy for my boyfriend, for my kids, for myself, and for you guys when I go live. Hopefully tomorrow from Florida. Thank you, Gary. I hope you have a good day too. I hope you all do. And I hope to see you on the next juice. This has been A Moment in Time with Taylor. Big thank you to all of you who make this possible and not only support the channel, but when you click that link, you'll also see the link to support my schooling. I'm live on YouTube and Periscope right now. You can follow me both places. I go live on Periscope every single day, 7 days a week. And all my other links are on the website too. My Discord channel you can join. I have TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I think that's everything, but I don't know. Yes, that's true, Fresh. That's absolutely true, which is why the positive timeout can be helpful for parents too, for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed this book review. Let me know what other books you'd like to see me review. I have tons more coming up. The next book I'm reading, maybe a little bit controversial, is called The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. Bye.